Hi there, and welcome to this short video where I just thought I'd delve a little bit further into blending and the different tools and methods that you can use. Now, I have touched on this before, but I just thought I'd go just a little bit deeper into each different thing you can use to blend. So, first of all, blending is about creating smooth transitions between your colours. You want to be adding depth to your subjects, and you do that by adding various layers and blending those layers and knowing where to blend and what to blend, and that comes with practice. Now, the number one thing for me for blending has got to be the finger. Your finger, you've got plenty of them, and these are great because it's the most intuitive method for blending. It lets you feel the texture of the paper. You know what pressure you're using. It's a nice smooth, it blends lovely. So your finger for me is one of the best blenders you can actually use. Now, my next favorite, and I use it in almost all of my tutorials, is just a Q-tip or a cotton bud, depending on where you are. These are great because they've got that nice rounded sort of top to them. They're relatively small, so you can get into nice little tight spaces. And they're great just for, you can dab your pastel down into the paper, you can blend it slightly, and it's small enough that it doesn't impact areas round about the area you're working on. So if you want to have something that's a bit more detailed, you're not risking smudging or blending anything else that you're actually doing on your paper. Now, the next thing would probably be these paper stumps. And they're really just compressed little rolls of paper. And you get them usually in packs of 5. And they go from number 1 to number 5. You might get them bigger. And the little ones are really good because the same sort of thing, they can get into that really tight sort of spaces that you need to get into. But the big ones are brilliant if you've got a larger area that you're wanting to blend. The only thing I'd say with these is that if you are going to use them, blend in a circular motion. I find that if you use these and you go just back and forth, it can leave that stop-start line in your artwork. So just make sure that you give that a blend in a circular motion, and these work really, really well. You just need to clean, obviously, the tips of them and put them back into a point. This can be done with a craft knife, or you can do it on sandpaper. I actually even use one of those old little peddy machines for doing the hard skin on your feet, and just run that across. It does create a little bit of dust, so you're just going to do it inside a bin, but otherwise that works great for sharpening those. Now, the next thing you've got for an option is brushes. Now, these are actually specifically designed pastel brushes, but you can just get just any sort of normal artist brush. I've got these as well. Now, I don't use these often. What they do is that they're lovely for creating like an airbrushed or feathered effect to your artwork. I find that it sometimes lifts a little bit too much of the pastel up, and it creates a little bit of excess dust. So I don't use them a lot, but there is times when you might just want that look to your drawing, and there is a lot of artists do use these quite regularly, so that's always another option for your blending too. Now, the next thing I've spoken about before are these soft tools. So they're basically just little applicators that you can get, and you get the little foam little thing that goes on the top here. Now, with these are great for pan pastels, which are the little tubs, and they're great for applying that. And they're also good if you have soft pastel sticks and you're using them for your underlayers or your backgrounds. These are great for smoothing out and blending, that sort of thing. I wouldn't use these on really fine detailed areas because they are a little bit big, but you do get the different sized, the different shapes, sorry, of these little sponges. Some of them have got little points, which would work well to get into smaller areas. But I tend to leave these for the bigger sort of areas in my underpaintings. You can get the little replacement sponges for them, because you will find sometimes, especially if you apply heavy pressure, that you will start to tear these little sponges. These are a little bit more expensive, but once you've actually bought the applicators, you just need to get the little sponges, and they come in just little packets, just like that. But again, there are cheaper alternatives to these ones. What I often use is these little eye makeup applicators. I think they're really good, and you can get from, you know, online or in your $1 or $2 shops. You can get huge bags of these for a really cheap price. Another thing I use is makeup sponges as well. So these were just cheap, again, just cheap ones. I think I got them just from the $2 shop. Or you can get the more sort of heavy duty makeup sort of sponges, and these, you know, little egg sort of shaped ones as well. So all of those can work really well for doing bigger sort of areas and backgrounds and things like that. The thing is, you've got to think outside the square when you come to blending as well. Use things that are round about you. A tissue is sometimes a really good method. Put that just on your finger and you can blend with that. Or I keep, anytime I get a delivery, I'll keep these little peanuts, I think they're called, little packing sort of foam things. And they're great. You can just, you know, keep them in a box somewhere or in a bag and just pull one of them out and you can use that. I even use a pool noodle. So you can actually cut bits off a pool noodle. And I've used this quite a few times on backgrounds. I should probably tell my son that I've cut half of his pool noodle off, but you'll figure that out in summertime. So yeah, so think outside the square. There's lots of different things that you can use. The number one thing you've got to be aware of with this is not to over blend. Now I know that's easier said than done, and we do tend to get a little bit carried away sometimes when we are blending, but if you get, the whole point of pastels is that the colours are really vibrant, and you want to get those layers of colour built up so that it gives you that realism in your artwork. And if you go crazy and blend far too much, all your colours are just going to become muddy. They're just going to all look the same, and it's just going to be an off colour. You're not going to get that vibrancy of colour that you get from pastels. So finally, it is a practice thing, and I know people hate to hear that they've got to practice, but the more you do, the better you'll get. Practice on smaller pieces of paper, practice the different techniques, practice using the different tools that we've spoken about in this video. And each one will give you a different effect. It will help you in different areas of your portrait or the subject that you're drawing. And you'll only get more intuitive with that the more you do and the more drawings that you create. So at the end of the day, it's the versatility and the richness of pastels that probably attracted you in the first place. So take your time, enjoy the process, keep creating, keep practicing, and I hope that this has been some sort of help to you in the different applications you can use for blending. And until next time, happy pasting.